Supremacy. What's going on? Yes. If you are here for your first time, what's up? We hope you enjoy our show. And if this is your second, third, or 100th time viewing, welcome back. You know what I'm saying? 200 episodes coming up soon, right?
In November, inshallah.
Oh, okay. In November. Inshallah. So we got to do something powerful for that 200th episode. I'm just X. I am co-founder and CEO of One Hood Media. And to my immediate rights...
Oh, we're going to start this today.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
She ain't nobody.
Oh, wow. Haters everywhere.
He said she ain't nobody.
You know what? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping, so it's good.
Excuse me, sir. You're talking to the star
I'm
of
sorry,
This Week in White Supremacy. Please, okay?
Yeah.
Hilarious. But anyways, it's your girl, me, Miracle, a.k.a. Big Blessing with the Big Blessings. And we are here on Pennsylvania's primary election day.
Yes.
Trying to make it.
Yes.
Trying not to get any more Twitter beefs.
We did get in some Twitter beefs.
In these tweets.
Yes.
In these tweets.
But to me,
in these streets, but not in these.
To me, it shows what a good job you've been doing leading our civic engagement work. The fact that these folks are mad at us. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what we want. That shows like we're effective. You know what I'm saying? Because they see us. We're effective. And my brother.
It's your boy Trouble on the Last Never Like Supremacy, Next Level Shaman.
Fresh off 420.
You feel me?
Come on, man.
Niggas
All
love
right.
smoking.
Come on, man. Let's go. And, sir.
Me? I
Yes.
sure ain't in these streets.
Yeah.
Really? You've given up your pass?
Man, listen.
You've given up your streetcar?
Jersey in the rafters, bruv.
Oh, wow.
You
In
know
the
what I
rafters,
mean?
huh? Hung it up.
Yep, hung up, man.
Oh, wow.
Flat screen. Not to derail the show.
But to derail the show.
Okay.
What is that on your head?
Oh, that's Jesus.
I was supposed to be just so it was like they took the Cleveland logo and made
the
it
crown
Jesus.
of thorns. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Let's specify that is not a knock on our indigenous and Native American people.
Nah, it's the same person who made the Betty Boop hat that I wore.
Yeah, recreation of that.
Yeah.
And reflecting into Jesus.
Don't play, man. Don't play court. Yeah, large up on my brothers, man. Uncle Den, large up my brother.
I'm glad you said that because people probably will be watching and not know what was going on.
I'm trying to save us.
And think we would be engaging in that type of, come on, but if you know us, if you've watched the show, you know we don't engage in the, sometimes we do miracles.
This is Christ right here, man.
Miracle is like, oh, no,
and who am I? I am the image of Christ. I am the image of Christ.
The image of Christ.
Come on, man.
Aren't we all?
We should all strive to be Christ-like.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, we want to start off. I mean, it's like every time you think that it cannot be an escalation. Oh. You think like we've reached a point where like it can't get any more chaotic. Mm-hmm. This season of America than it is right now. Like
I thought last season of America was crazy,
bro. Last season of America.
Who are the show writers? Because Jesus Christ, man,
nothing on this season.
Absolutely not.
And so
the only thing we're missing is shitting on the walls. That's the only thing that hasn't happened so far.
And it's also fascinating because...
But we had people in tunnels.
The people who are talking about shitting on the walls or who were defending those individuals that violently took over the Capitol now all of a sudden are questioning how people are protesting.
Yeah.
Right? The gall, right? The audacity.
The caucasity.
The caucasity.
Yeah.
Right. So there have been a lot... Protests are sweeping college campuses, right? Starting in New York City, really started at Columbia because for whatever reason, the Colombian president, the president of Columbia University.
Not
that Columbia, right?
Yeah, right.
But maybe, I don't know if the Colombian president of the university indulged in something from Columbia. Because like, why after you saw what happened when the Harvard president went up there and the Penn president went up there and the MIT president, like, why would you then willingly think you would go before Congress, the caucasity, right? And think that you were going to somehow do some job that would be better. And, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on what side you're on, her testimony set off a firestorm on Columbia University campus that even led to the faculty walking out and joining the protesters. Hundreds of protesters.
And they had their IDs deactivated for that.
Right.
So they can't even access the campus now.
Crazy, right? Hundreds of protesters not only took to campus, but set an encampment up on campus. Hundreds were arrested. You know, it's led to this spreading on other college campuses. NYU, there was a protest where a lot of people were arrested last night, right? At Yale, there's an encampment now. At Berkeley, there's an encampment now, right? The New School in New York is getting involved, right? All of these elite universities, you know, Harvard and such are involved now in this, you know, anti-war coalition of folks that are saying, like, what's happening in Israel and characterizing what's happening in Israel as a genocide and saying we don't want our university money going towards the killing of any more Palestinians. And so there was a clip. Well, let's start with the clip with Ilhan Omar, whose daughter was also one of the people arrested. I think she was kicked out of school as well. Out of Barnard University or the college, whatever that is. So let's start with that clip. And this is Ilhan Omar
speaking to Columbia University President Manu Shafiq.
Yes. Break that down.
My colleagues asked you, have you seen anti-Muslim protests on campus?
I have seen, we have had pro-Israeli demonstrations on campus.
No.
But
just
not
a protest that was against Muslims.
No, I have
you
not
seen one against Arabs?
No, I have not.
Have you seen one against Palestinians?
No, I have not.
Have you seen one against Jewish people? Have you seen a protest saying we are against Jewish people?
No, I have seen.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. There has been a rise in targeting and harassment against anti-war protesters because it's been pro-war and anti-war protesters is what it seems like, correct?
Correct. There has been.
Thank you. Activists on campus, including Jewish students, Black and Brown, Arab and Muslim students. How many of the organizations that were canceled in Columbia involved Jewish students?
One of the organizations is called Jewish Voices for Peace.
Yes. And encompassed of Jewish students?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was
Can just real fast?
a masterful performance by Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. Yes.
Can I do a celebratory cultural large up for Ilhan Omar?
Sure. All right, then. I don't know if that was, but I think a question.
Okay, like whose celebratory culture?
Oh shit! She
What
said
was-
not black people.
All Muslims do that.
She said.
I just want clarification.
She said
Yeah.
not. She said not black people. That was some other.
No, there's a whole bunch of Africans that do that shit.
It's a joke. I'm just messing with you. I'm
two
coming.
in a row.
This is why I'm the culture and she's the country, because she don't know shit.
Oh. Whoa.
But I do know he's not African
Oh. How can you tell, Miracle?
because he said he is.
Does he have an identifying
Asiatic?
quality?
The Supreme Asiatic Intelligently Divine?
Is there a quality?
Because he doesn't claim that.
I know I'm messing with you.
I can't. Supreme Afro-Asiatic Intelligently Divine, is that
So
better?
we adding words
Wow,
now.
wow. So listen.
I'm just trying to understand because I thought he was going to say something like in Arabic.
Yeah,
you know, and I just wanted to make sure.
Totally different.
You know, because I ask questions.
Yes.
I inquire. You know, like what you're supposed to do on a college campus.
Absolutely.
You know,
Oh, okay.
I engage.
So now you're trying to shame me
so
for
I-
not going to university. Is that what
Oh,
you're
No,
doing?
I'm actually trying
So that's
to
what you're trying to
say,
do, okay.
I directly ask you what you meant. Now,
She
how
did.
you
She
feel
did.
about the fact that you did not go to college is nothing to do with what I said. You can go to college tomorrow. There's nothing stopping you from applying to go to college right now. What I was saying, what
She said,
I
"Not stopping
was
you from going to that community college, brother."
modeling, what I was modeling was what's supposed to happen at college
Yes.
campuses is that something happens,
Mm-hmm.
you inquire,
Yeah.
you find an answer.
I gave you the answer.
And you get engaged and you move on.
You weren't satisfied with the answer.
I didn't say I was or was not satisfied with the answer.
She
You
just
just
asked-
Your
assumed.
implementation
And it doesn't
alluded
matter.
to the fact
First
that there was
of
a
all,
disapproving
what I was
tone
just saying, what, you
in
want
your
to call
response.
NYPD on me now?
What?
You gonna call the police?
Oh,
on me now?
shit.
Do you want
Who's
me to
going
be tear
on?
gas?
Wow.
Do you want me to tear gas? Is that a
Oh,
problem?
wow.
Jeez, man.
Is my protest
See what
the
see,
problem?
this is how you can tell she's in a Trump
Protest-
camp.
Is my
These are
protest the
Trump
problem?
level responses right
Because
here.
You were giving very
You have been media
very
trained
Columbia
so well
president.
by MAGA.
This is very
MAGA Miracle
Columbia
is on full
president.
display right now, ladies and
right,
gentlemen.
hey, okay.
I was just asking.
Can I call to order? Hey,
No, what I was saying
call
was.
to order. But no, I have a question for you, Miracle. Before you go,
I just wanted to finish, like, 'cause
Yes.
I was saying instead of arresting these students,
Yes.
that you could have allowed them to ask questions,
1,000%.
engage.
Very true.
But clearly, you know, the police corner over there isn't ready to have a conversation.
Oh shit!
So I was just,
Listen, I'm a lot.
maybe like
man, not knowing
amplifying why sometimes people.
She said you got navy
push
blue on, brother.
Now, you know what we doing over here on this side.
We know. And for those
He
that
said
don't
Blue
know,
Lives Matter over here.
Oh, no, don't do that. Man like Gargamel and that. Yo, don't do that.
no, for those that don't know, Farouk is on record as saying he loves crime. So that's,
thank you.
That's
Yo,
a full,
plenty times.
plenty
yes. time.
Defend your bestie.
So
That's
look,
it.
so
Niggas love crime. I'm gonna say it again. Niggas love crime.
Okay, calm down. So look, now I want to ask you this, Miracle, because you're right. Like, and Columbia University was, I believe, one of the first to suspend the Jewish Voices for Peace a group on their campus, as well as I think student justice for Palestine as well was suspended. And so in some circles, right, people are classifying these protests as anti-Semitic, right? Because these are, people are calling them pro-Palestinian. I don't know if I would necessarily use that word pro-Palestinian. More so, I think like what Ilhan said, they're anti-war. Yeah. They're saying we don't want our tax dollars to kill any more people.
But isn't that a funny correlation that they're drawing?
It's
to
an
be
interesting
anti-war, you have to be pro-Palestinian.
Well, it's an interesting correlation. So I just wanted to ask Miracle, because I think one of the narratives that has been going around, and which is why these presidents were being brought before campus, were that these campuses were becoming unsafe places for Jewish students, even though, like Ilhan mentioned, one of the organizations that was suspended was a Jewish organization, that was Jewish Voices for Peace. So can you just talk to like are there anti-Semitic undertones to these protests, or are these simply anti-war protests, many of which encompass a lot of Jewish students that are anti-war as well?
These are anti-war protests that are modeled after the activities in the 1960s and 70s that were going against the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
However, there are levels to protest, right? For some Jewish individuals who are direct descendants of the Holocaust, who have been taught that words are meant to inflame violence against Jewish people.
Correct.
They see any type of wording, organization, protest against Israel as wholly being anti-Semitic.
Right.
And so that is the undertones to what is happening and going on. There is also an issue of, traditionally in American discourse, Palestinians, Arabs, and Muslims were not the people that people traditionally saw as victims or worth fighting for, right? If you think about our movies, it's either the Russians or the Muslims who are always the bad people.
Right.
Like on TV, when we're talking about like international issues, right? And so seeing people across the country rise up and say, we do not want to see dead Palestinians, has been a problem. But within this movement, people have talked about what's going on in the Congo,
right,
what's going on in Sudan. We've talked about what's going on in Afghanistan,
right,
what's going on in China, what's going on in Russia. It is a legitimate anti-war movement, an anti-war moment. And the problem is that a lot of folks are so invested in war and violence. And the reason why this is taking over the universities, even like here in Pittsburgh, they just started their own encampment, is we did not know that our schools are investing in Israeli bonds.
Right.
We did not know that our schools are invested in creating surveillance that is used to track Palestinians and murder them.
Right.
We did not know that our universities are hiring people that create these weapons that find new and innovative ways to kill people. And
right,
so folks are saying like this, we got to stop. This is like too much. But for some Jewish folks, when they hear anything against Israel, they automatically deem it anti-Semitic.
Right.
And for a lot of these conservatives who are far right provocateurs who have been looking for any way and any means to shut down colleges, to incarcerate Black and brown folks, they're using this divide to say, oh my gosh, this is anti-Semitic, and as a result we need the police or the National Guard or some other policing entity to arrest folks.
Right.
And so that's what we've been dealing with for the past 7 months.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like, one of the things that has been happening, and one of the reasons why the call the anti-war call is growing is because of this escalation that we've seen from the Israeli government, where, you know, all the hospitals are bombed, you know, churches are bombed, you know what I'm saying? Like all the universities are bombed. There's like tremendous escalation. And then on these college campuses, we're also seeing this like police escalation, right? You would think that on a college campus, if kids are just camping out on tents, like you would just say, well, let them do that, right? They got tents. They're not really bothering anybody. You know what I'm saying? They're just marching.
Not only that, they're paying to be there.
Right. They're paying to be there.
As a fat person myself, I really do not understand like being outside and camping, right? It's not my thing.
Yes.
Like it's not, it's not my ministry.
You're a little bougie. Yes.
I've earned the right.
Yeah.
Bed and bougie?
Big and bougie is me.
I said bed and bougie, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was interesting about Colombia is that they created these free speech zones. So they went to the free speech zone and they still got in trouble, right? It was a nonviolent protest, and it was after the 1968 Colombia protest, where that was also an anti-war protest, where they occupied buildings, right? And what we're starting to see is that a lot of our anti-war elders from the 60s and 70s are coming out and like, this is what we did, right? As we know, there's so much police surveillance. We're trying to find new and innovative ways to protest.
Yes.
And we're looking to our elders, and our elders are saying, this is what we did, right? This is how we moved. And so you see the youth doing the same thing, even in New York, when they occupied the train station. That is what ACT UP did when they were fighting against, at that time, the grids crisis. And so that's what we're seeing. These are non-violent protests. People are sitting down in traffic.
Yes.
They're not, breaking windows.
No.
They're not destroying buildings,
Correct.
right? All the things y'all said we did wrong
or like
during the Black Lives Matter movement.
Or like they did at the Capitol, right?
Or,
right. Exactly.
These are people who are literally doing stuff non-violently,
Yes.
and they're still being tear gassed and arrested and beaten and taken in handcuffs. And so we're starting to see that, like, maybe y'all don't want any protest.
Right.
Maybe you just want subjugation to fascism, and then that is just not something that we're willing to do right now.
And it
or
does,
ever, hopefully.
right? And it seems like that. And as somebody, to me, it really is reminiscent of Occupy. And there was a moment when Occupy started off on Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, and it was really the increase in police brutality and videos that went viral that actually led to Occupy spreading beyond Occupy Wall Street to all over the country, where in many universities in every big city there was an Occupy. So now we see encampments at Yale and NYU and Berkeley. So we're seeing this spreading. So I want to come to you, Trouble, just as a younger person, like looking at this happening right now. Like, what are you seeing and how are you feeling about, your generation kind of standing up and saying, we don't want violence, we don't want war? To me, you're kind of like our Buddha, like you're kind of you're like somebody that's super peaceful, although you have a non-peaceful past has led you to be so peaceful, right? So how are you seeing this moment, and I guess what would you say to some of these folks that are organizing and standing up and getting arrested?
I would say that one, it excites me to see so many people calling out against war, against occupation and stuff like that. And I saw a quote on Instagram that said that, like, you don't get peace by appealing to the morals of your oppressor.
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's something you have to be willing to fight for constantly.
Absolutely.
And to see people of my generation who are willing to fight for it, who are willing to say, you know what, fuck my access to education, fuck my access to freedom, I'm going to fight for this even if it means I get arrested. I think that's pretty exciting because, we've always been told when we were coming up that, like, we are the next generation. This is like our shit, essentially. You know what I'm saying? Like, we
absolutely.
are the future.
Yeah.
I feel like we're seeing that now. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us are becoming adults. A lot of us are, starting to pay taxes, go to university, get into the workforce.
Yeah.
And we're realizing the fuckery that goes on all levels of what we get involved with. And, like, to see people organizing against it rather than being complacent, you know what I'm saying? Or complicit is inspiring.
I just want to share that quote. It says, nobody in the world, nobody in history has ever gotten their freedom by appealing to the moral sense of the people who were oppressing them. And that was Assata Shakur. So one of the things that just went down was Columbia suspended classes. Everything is all hybrid classes right now. there was a rabbi, a well-known rabbi that came out and basically appealed to Jewish students not to go on Columbia's campus. We're also, acknowledging that we're entering into Passover, right? I believe yesterday was the first day of Passover, which is one of the holiest holidays in the Jewish community. So at the same time, some folks are also looking at Passover. There were, Jewish protesters that organized like a Seder at some of these protests and had like Seder in the middle of the protest. So I don't think that will be, do you think that's to me, that's not gonna solve the problem.
I mean, even for the past 5 days, Jewish Voices for Peace here in Pittsburgh has sat Shiva in Squirrel Hill to mourn the lives lost since October 7th and since, right? I think that what we've seen is that there have been people who've been dismissive of Jewish folks who said they're anti-Zionist.
Yes.
And they've tried to say that they're not the real Jews or they're fake Jews or whatever. And I think that has been a very disheartening moment for a lot of people who are organizing, because it's their own community who's throwing them away simply for saying that war is not the answer. And there has been, I don't see people saying free Palestine is anti-Semitic. I don't believe people saying ceasefire is anti-Semitic, right? And so there are people who have different opinion. The things that are anti-Semitic is writing for blood or soil, outside a Jewish person's home.
Right.
It's attacking Jewish people.
Yeah.
It's telling people to go back to Poland. But the other issue that we're facing is that a lot of the most anti-Semitic things that have happened have come out to be hoaxes that Jewish people did to point out anti-Semitism. So there were stickers that were printed out. And then Hillel was the one who was responsible. There was a Jewish organizer who hired a plane that said like Jews aren't allowed here, and they were trying to say like how they felt, but people didn't know who it was, and so that has also created a lot of tension, because sometimes when these things happen, we don't know who the perpetrators are until a week or two later. Because people are trying to score political points. And that has made it a little hard. But I will say, when October 7th happened, a lot of institutions basically banned Palestinians, Muslims, and Arabs from having events on campus, from having educational conversations, from talking about Hamas, from talking about resistance. And that is what has led to what's been festering today. It was that people were forced into corners, and we kept trying to say, like, this is not a game. You're not cheering on people. People are impacted, and we have to come together and to have conversations. And our institutions failed us in that regard. And so now people are like, oh, now we got to have conversations. Like, yeah, we said that like 6 months ago. And that's what we're dealing with. They canceled programs. So then people had to have programs, on the lawns. Right. They couldn't use the school buildings. And I think that's what we're dealing with, is like, and for me, whenever police kill black people, we always have meetings with black people and the police, like within 24 hours. We always have police community meetings, and that has been the default. But when this happened, that was prevented. And so it's just now a lot of soul searching. But all of this is happening while Gaza is still being bombed. Palestinians are still being killed. And so people are trying to do whatever they can to just get this violence to stop, because it's just too much. And if we get to a point where we just accept this as normal, then how are we going to stop the RSF in Sudan? How are we going to get Saudi Arabia to stop? How are we going to get China to stop? How are we going to get Russia to stop? We're like trying to do all of this all at once. And it seems like no one really is invested in peace. And that is why people are doing these quote unquote extreme means of taking over college campuses and camping out, because they just want it to end.
But it is that, I think you're right in terms of, there was like, post October 7th was very like, only certain dialogue was allowed, and everything was being policed at a way where people were just even making, whatever, like it was like you had to be so careful with comments you made because we saw people like lose jobs, lose opportunities, because of statements that were made. Now it's almost like because you like tried to put the cover on the pot that it boiled over.
Yeah.
And now these students are saying like, well, we're going to make our own space on campus and we're going to make our own space and we're going to say these things that we've been wanting to say and have these conversations we've been wanting to say. And now that's leading to people getting tear gas or arrested. So these universities have donors, right? They have people that are like, on their board. So hedge fund billionaire, I think right there, when you say hedge fund billionaire, you kind of lost.
Yeah.
Hedge fund billionaire Leon Cooperman, a prominent Columbia University donor, basically supporting the embattled president. But his quote was about criticism of student protests.
This is crazy.
His quote, "These kids are fucking crazy. They don't understand what they're doing or what they're talking about." Is this... I mean, again, to me,
are you trying to mansplain protest?
No, and I want to interject because we've been having these conversations.
Yes.
There are Palestinian people on campus.
Yes.
There are Sudanese people on campus.
Yes.
There are Uyghur Muslims on campus.
Yes.
I can literally go online and see people that I have been in community with laying dead on the ground.
Right.
Right? Because they've been murdered within Palestine. What these university presidents are forgetting is really that we are in a global society. That with social media, we have talked to people from all over the world, that our classmates are Palestinian.
Yeah.
But our friends and neighbors are Palestinian. And we're watching them be impacted. We're watching them get phone calls. Oh, this person in your family has died. Right. This person in your family has been taken. Our friends, and I'll say this even personally. I was supposed to be in Palestine over the past few weeks with a group of people, a group of friends. We had planned to go to harvest season. That is not only not happening, it's never going to happen in probably the near future, right? So when we're talking about why are things impactful to us is because we were already in community with people before October. And a lot of these politicians and elected officials did not realize that. I've talked to people here in Pittsburgh who were like, we had no idea that Palestinians lived in Pittsburgh.
True, yeah.
Right? And they're like, this is why, like, we are literally having to recognize that we live in a global society right now.
Right.
I talk to my friends who are Sudanese, and it is the Saudi Arabian government who was funding the killing of their community members, who are talking about how it's hard to be Black, African, and Muslim right now because it is all of their identities. I know people who are Palestinian and Sudanese. There's so much happening in this world, and our elected officials have not led with humanity. This is the one time I've said I would prefer if Clinton were in office, because he would have done like the "I feel your pain, I'm grieving," and he would have. Bush is compassionate.
Bush
conservatism.
was
Even how messed up it was, and Biden has not had the wherewithal to lead with that, to talk about the human toll this is, to act like he is sad and suffering. It's always like, we're Russian bots, we're Iranian bots, we're people trying to dismantle America, and we're like, we are people who are just trying to get our friends and family members to live, and we're trying to get this violence to stop, because it is difficult trying to stop gun violence here, but then go and talk to elected officials who are signing legislation to have guns, bombs, and things dropped abroad. And so it is something that we're fighting for, but we know what's going on. We don't care about people's political ideologies. We want stuff to stop. I don't care that you don't want to talk to this Muslim person. You need to go talk to these Muslim communities and get this to end. I
mean, they should be. I mean, you should be representing everybody. And just speaking on that, the Colombian Students for Justice in Palestine actually released a statement. It says, "We are student activists at Columbia calling for divestment from genocide. We are frustrated by media distractions focusing on inflammatory individuals who do not represent us. At universities across the nation, our movement is united in valuing every human life. Our members have been misidentified by a politically motivated mob. We have been doxxed in the press, arrested by the NYPD, locked out of our homes by the university. We have knowingly put ourselves in danger because we can no longer be complicit in Columbia funneling our tuition dollars and grant funding into companies that profit from death. As a diverse group united by love and justice, we demand our voices be heard against the mass slaughter of Palestinians in Gaza. We've been horrified every day watching children crying over the bodies of their slain parents, families without food to eat, and doctors operating without anesthesia. Our university is complicit in this violence, and this is why we protest. It says, we firmly reject any form of hate or bigotry and stand vigilant against non-students attempting to disrupt the solidarity being forged among students, Palestinian, Muslim, Arab, Jewish, Black, and pro-Palestinian classmates and colleagues who represent the full diversity of our country. We have been peaceful. We follow in the footsteps of civil rights and anti-war movements in our quest for liberation. And their demands are divest all finances, including endowment from corporations that profit from Israeli apartheid, genocide, and occupation in Palestine, complete transparency for all Columbia's financial investments, and amnesty for students and faculty disciplined or fired in the movement for Palestinian liberation. Just coming to you, Farouk, about like any comments about the hedge fund billionaire or any piece. Treble.
I just want to say that in response to him saying that these kids are crazy and they don't understand what they're doing, I think they understand exactly what they're doing. I don't think anyone who stands for peace is going to trust the words of a hedge fund billionaire who's invested in harm.
1,000%, right?
Who, like, I would say to be a billionaire, at some point you have to be like really invested in the economy.
Yes.
And one thing I understand about economy is that like profit comes from problems.
1,000%. Yes.
Without disarray, without chaos, then they can't sell us solutions to, you know, fund their lifestyles even more.
1,000%.
So it's like we understand that people like him are invested in harm.
Yes.
And we understand that standing for peace actually harms the economy that they've worked so hard to build, and that's what we're standing against.
Absolutely.
We don't want people like him funding a university that we attend, and then, you know, perpetuating the violence that we stand against.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's also wild because we're talking about like probably one of the reasons why he's a Columbia University donor is he went there and knows. We're talking about one of the most elite universities that you have to be really, really highly intelligent just to get in.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And so like the idea that just to dismiss them, oh, they don't know what they're like, they don't have access to the internet. They don't have access to actual individuals, right? They're talking to people with lived experience. It's so dismissive. And we know if we went into his hedge fund, you gonna find some bomb makers, some death makers in your hedge fund, and that's probably why you got your billions of dollars. And so who's really crazy? It's funny that his name is Leon, too. I don't know why a white man named Leon just automatically makes me laugh, but Farouk?
Your cultural comments, please.
Come again?
We're waiting on your cultural comments.
Oh. Well, since I didn't go to university, I don't know if I can provide any insight to this. But
okay, well, next.
So what I would like to say,
no,
though,
we don't. He can't. He's not qualified.
So what I would like to say
is,
wow, we have a protest going on right on the show.
Not you shaming me for not having the same resources that you did.
First of all, not you having a rap contract to be able to travel the world, you know, based off causing harm and violence to people.
Oh,
so let's not.
Actually, I did
not.
conscious hip hop, but Jesus Christ,
let's not.
Just because I roll with gangsters, goddamn. Like,
oh wow, violence.
Come on, brother Farouk. What do you got to share?
Yeah, no, I mean it's more.
You know, I haven't even been mean to you this week. I've actually been gone out of my way to be very nice to you.
As you should.
I don't understand. You bought me cookies, and I thought we were good.
We're
I don't know. The smoke started pretty early.
You know,
go ahead, Farouk.
It makes for good television.
Your take.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, Columbia University has, you know, some of the lowest acceptance rates. So what they're requiring is the students to be the best and the brightest that apply and get accepted. And I'm pretty sure on most admission applications, you're requiring some insight of forethought or world-shaping views or something that you are expecting the students to come to your university that you deem as prestigious to reshape the world in their image. And that's exactly what you're doing. They're doing, and you're penalizing them for that. And you're looking for extracurricular activities for anybody who applies to Columbia University. So what they're doing is they're doing everything that you ask them to submit and produce on a college application, and they're putting that into practice on your campus in real time. And you're upset that it's going against your hedge fund values, when in actuality they are probably doing the most loyal service to the university that they possibly can within their power by not only galvanizing and speaking truth to power, but also requesting amnesty for these people. Because let's need us not forget that Columbia University has allotted their law program to be welcoming home people who are formerly incarcerated and speaking about justice of mass incarceration and all these issues for people who have been impacted by a large and insidious system. Yeah. Right. And yet you are demonizing these students for actually doing what they're there to do at your university.
Absolutely.
It's beyond me.
Well, it's showing that they value their funders more than they do their students.
Or the curriculum. Like, you know what I mean?
That's why we need free colleges.
Right. Say that again, Miracle.
But that's why we need free college. Right? We don't have to worry about billionaire hedge funds owners taking over universities if we had affordable college.
Well, speaking of billions, Miracle.
I don't know what that is.
Speaking of billions,
don't know her, never met her.
And in more, how much more can politicians be out of touch in the moment? Congress passed a foreign aid package.
I feel like this is
a $95 billion foreign aid package, providing nearly $61 billion in aid for Ukraine, over $26 billion for Israel, and more than $8 billion for the Indo-Pacific. It says that this is on track to pass the Senate this week. And so here we are now.
You know what?
Yes.
You know what Nas said? How can the president fix other countries when he ain't fixed home yet?
I mean, I think that's what everybody's saying, right?
Yeah,
but we're looking and saying, like, you know, like, you know, it's been this kind of slow kind of drip in terms of canceling student
and that was what, $7 billion promised?
Yeah,
7.
student loan debt.
But the fact that we even have as a country $7.4 billion in calculable student loan debt,
and that's not all of
insane.
it.
No,
right, that's not close.
But you shouldn't even have that much. Like that is insane to me.
So it is a lot.
That's why I'm glad I never went university, because I don't owe them niggas.
Right, it's inflation here. It is, people have been struggling with the economy more every day. Like, if you're trying to buy a house now in 2024, it's much different than it was even 10 years ago. It's much more difficult. But it seems like Miracle always says, right, when it comes to war, when it comes to bombing, when it comes to like mass destruction, we have billions of more dollars to give away. How do we reconcile, you know, on one hand, like this mass movement, this mass anti-war movement that is primarily youth-led, and a Congress and Senate primarily made up of old white men saying, we don't hear y'all, kind of like Leon, right? Y'all are crazy. We're going to continue to put billions of dollars of like your future, like that could build up a positive future here in America. Think about like what $95 billion can do. Like right now, the Supreme Court are like basically looking to pass like laws that say local municipalities can punish homeless people for sleeping outside. 95 billion homelessness done, right? Overnight, right?
Right, yeah, you could just solve that problem.
A lot of this education disparities done, right? So much can be done with $95 billion, but we're sending it overseas for war. How do y'all feel about that?
It's ridiculous, man. Like, homelessness is a problem that can easily not be a problem.
100%, yeah.
It's just that simple. Now, the phenomena of a lot of these young white people moving to like Santa Monica and opting to be homeless, that's a different discussion.
That's a different discussion,
That's something different, right? But nobody, by and large, asked to be homeless. And the society in which we're trapped is one that's predicated upon pushing people below you, far below a comfortable station in life.
Yeah.
And when like Jasiri just illustrated, it is virtually impossible to purchase a home right now. And if you're in the few people who can, congratulations. But there are so many people who are suffering or working paycheck to paycheck or just middle class poor that are literally just one paycheck away from being homeless.
Yeah.
And the reality is creeping upon so many of us and infringing into our daily lives to the point that that is something that a lot of people have to grapple with. And when you see a lot of this aid being pushed to people who don't, have any relationship with America, right? And as a citizen, as you're sitting here, like, where is mine? It becomes a very pressing critique that you're saying, okay, well, how do we have money for this $95 billion investment into this foreign aid policy, but you're asking me to pay taxes.
Right.
You're asking me to pay student loan debt.
Yes,
You're asking me to pay these medical bills that I didn't ask to be sick.
Yeah.
Why are you penalizing me for being sick or falling with the flu or falling COVID?
Absolutely.
Where's my support? So it in a word, it's disgusting.
True. I mean, I think you broke it down. Miracle, did you have a comment about?
No, I'm trying not to monopolize today because I feel like I talk too much.
Are you? Mm-hmm. Well, the people love when you talk, though, Miracle.
You're the A-mic.
That's the whole point of the show. They love you. Trouble. This is $95 billion, like you said, that could go into whether it be infrastructure building, job programs. I mean, we look at our communities and we're in desperate need of resources. And so kind of what Farouk says, I mean, is it wrong for us to look and say, like, what that money could do to support and help our communities and why? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we could argue that, with gun violence or whatever, there's like wars going on in our community in a sense, and what resources could do to change that reality. I mean, we get shot spotter, we get more police, but what would it look like if we got even a $1 billion investment in our communities to help change our reality?
Yeah, I feel like this speaks to exactly why the voter population isn't as enthusiastic about politics.
1,000%.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like we are seeing through these investments that a lot of these politicians don't care about our community. They don't care about what's going on right here in our homeland. They care about keeping themselves and their funders on top. And in order to stay on top, you have to have someone on the bottom. You have to have someone who is disinvested in. You have to have someone who is, you have to have people who are literally living in the streets, being oppressed in order to keep your positions. And a lot of people care more about these positions than they do about the people. And it makes me wonder, how can we financially organize around something like this, right?
True.
Because it's like, if it's our tax dollars going to stuff like this,
It is.
how can we take more like agency and control over where that's going?
Well, that's the thing. That's a part of that is, electing political or politicians that are speaking to the people. This is one of the reasons why, as a voter, speaking just for myself, not an organization, that I support a congressperson like Summer Lee, because Summer Lee is out here not only bringing resources and finances back to our community, but speaking about changing the dynamic. Is it summertime?
It's summertime.
Changing the dynamic, of our relationship to like money. And this is why you have billionaires trying to sway people not to vote for her, right? And so you see these kind of billionaires kind of like forming their little evil, they're at the Garden of Evil with Harlan Crow, forming their little evil factions to try to defeat the people. And we believe the people power is even greater. Now, so we do, we kind of reintroduced last week, which we hadn't had in a long time, our Karen of the week. So we have another white woman. Now, I wouldn't call this a Karen of the week. She's really kind of the opposite, right? Maybe a Kayla. Not a Karen, maybe? A Kate, maybe?
I like Kayla.
You like a Kayla?
I like her, yeah.
As the opposite of Karen?
How about Kylie?
Kylie? A Kylie, maybe?
What's it?
Your white Nubian queen.
Kylie could be my white Nubian queen, yeah.
So this woman's name is Tracy McMillan, and she's an author, and she basically did a calculation about how much racism has benefited white Americans. And she did a calculation up from her life, her own life, and basically said in her life from being white, she estimates the advantage that she's gotten personally, financially, to $371,934.30.
What was the equation? I just want to know like what
It
math she
says,
did.
oh, that's a great question.
'Cause I
Farouk.
don't know how to do
I'm
math.
glad you asked. It said,
He didn't go to university. He's not going to get it.
oh shit.
Yeah, I'm a product of DOE, so you know what I mean.
It
He said if
says,
it's not hard and soft and in the bag, you can't count.
She said it for me. Thank you.
you're like that little boy in The Wire where he couldn't do the regular math.
But I make sure the count ain't
He
fucked
makes sure
up.
the count, they fuck you up with the count wrong.
They fuck you up when the count wrong.
Oh, Lord.
Thank you, Miracle.
It says,
I might not know long division, but I know the metric scale.
so it said to calculate that number, McMillan tallied those benefits and divided them into two categories: a family bonus, which includes money her parents spent on her college tuition, educational loan she got from her grandfather, and an inheritance, and a social bonus.
Wait, a what? An educational loan from her grandfather?
Yes, right? And an
Sounds about white.
And an inheritance, right?
Sounds about white.
And it says a social bonus, which includes jobs, apartments, and access to credit she's gotten throughout her life. So she has a new book that's called The White Bonus.
Should we buy that book?
Oh, 1,000%.
I'm gonna buy that book.
5 families.
Trouble's
and
gonna read it to me.
Her book is called The White Bonus: 5 Families and the Cash Value of Racism in America. Any comments, Miracle, about the bonus of being white, the white bonus?
So, what is this reparational work that she's doing?
She wrote this book, Miracle.
That she's gonna make money off of.
It's like
She needs to sign that $371,000 over the. Make
No,
that
but
check out.
I
Hey
think
Tracy,
that-
make that $371,000 check out to One Hood Media. We're 501c3.
No, but I also think that like she's doing this work. So is she working with any of these reparational organizations
question.
in Congress in California as we go about thinking about how to do reparations within America? Because if you calculate it the personal way,
Yeah.
and you also calculate it through like government benefits and discrimination, I'm pretty sure there's some really cool policy ideas that could come up out of this. That's what my question would be.
Yeah, so it's an interview that she did. I don't really.
I don't believe in like personal reparations, like one to one.
I do. And when they're made out to One Hood Media, 501c3.
Right. I think corporations make repair if they've done harm.
Yeah.
Like this work has been weird because somebody was like, "Let me give you $15 for reparations," and I was just like taken aback.
Who said that?
Like, no, they're like, "Let me give you $15 just because I know your time is valuable, and like you saying something,
Right.
is probably you're not going to get paid the same as a white person." And I was like, I'm uncomfortable with like this one-to-one engagement for reparations.
Yeah.
I understand it, but it just makes me uncomfortable. Maybe that guy interrogates that at a different time.
So she does. So she says, "What I want for people to work." She says, "What I want is
She's
for
giving people homework
to
and not
work."
doing the work herself.
She wants people to work to end racism because she thinks it's in all of our interests. You know what I'm saying? It's also important to do the hard daily work in your community, talking to your friends and neighbors and trying to shift people's understanding so that we all can take care of each other. That's not enough, Miracle?
Please, what's
One Hood Media, that's, Academy, that's our 501c3. It's tax deductible.
It's a
Tracy.
difference between a 501c3 and a 501c4.
That's definitely a
just
difference.
in case anybody was
Yes,
in
yes.
these tweets chatting shit.
Yes, and we had to make that clear. Miracle Jones Esquire had to make that clear to a local county council person that was upset, you know what I'm saying, that tried to lie on us and say we was getting millions of
Trying to put
taxpayer
the
dollars.
ops on
I'm
us,
tired.
Come on, man.
People always
What's
say we get
wrong?
millions of dollars, and we
Yeah,
never
yeah.
do. And it's like, I want people to rain millions.
Yes,
I
yes.
would like millions of dollars to be
Absolutely.
set,
Yes.
upon us. I can be on vacation for like a year and a half.
1,000%. Yeah, and clearly, but again, and
My mental health sabbatical.
yeah, but to me, like I said, I look at the critique as we're doing our job. We're doing the job that we're supposed to do. And you're seeing us being visible, educating people around why we should vote and the power of our vote and the importance of it, of our vote. So with that being said,
We got some blackmail?
we do have some black males. So I will start.
Can I start with Farouk?
No. I will start with the black male aimed at.
The blackest one at the table.
Oh, wow.
At least now you know. Game recognized game.
That's
You
a
know
fact.
what I'm
Come
saying?
on.
Real recognized real.
go.
You are all black down.
That's
You got
what I mean.
You got the afro. You are doing it. So, okay.
Black is my favorite color.
So this is somebody
Amazing
named Lowell, right?
Like LOL or
Lowell, like Lowell?
Lowell.
Lowell? I thought it was Lowell, right?
Like Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yes. It says, hello. I've been
Goodbye.
watching your show about 6 months now, and I find you very interesting as an old white guy in Illinois.
I told y'all not to write to me.
The last show I saw, Miracle, was so happy black men were the biggest supporters of abortion. Richard Fowler on the 5, which is my homie, Richard, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to him.
We're the biggest supporters of
Abortion.
Like supporting abortion or supporting
Right. Miracle talked about how in these, she was talking about.
Ohio, yeah.
In
Okay,
Ohio.
I got you.
And
Yeah,
this was data that was spoken about from, what's the brother's
Mondale
name?
from Black Voter Project.
From like the Black Male Voter Project that said like black men were the biggest supporters of preventing legislation that would stop women from having the choice to do what they want with their bodies. He characterized us as the biggest supporters of abortion. He said Richard Fowler on 5 was so happy as well. Well, what that says to me is black men do not want to be fathers to their children.
Oh my God.
And they certainly want to have sex with these women, just no consequences. Miracle. You were very happy about these black men.
First of all, black women are 3 times more likely to die with maternal mortality for childbirth-related instances, right?
Yes.
So black men understanding that black women and black people who are giving birth need abortion care because abortion is health care is something to celebrate, number one. The idea that black men want to have sex without consequence makes no sense because you skip black men could be using condoms. Black men could be using protection.
Yes.
Black men could have having sex with other people who do not get pregnant, right? So there's a lot of things like you misspoke on. And the fact that you're upset about this, it is, I don't know what you've been doing this 6 months because it hasn't really been learning about black men.
Oh, wow.
And I'm very saddened by this.
Yeah.
Abortion is something that is very sensitive. And for a lot of people are forced into these situations, whether it's because they're not ready to have a family, they're having medical issues, they're having economic issues that have changed, or they just understand that they cannot have a child who can grow up with not needing to recover from their childhood, right? And so for any person who decides not to bring a child into this world intentionally, I think that shows that they are the most accountable and they're taking, in fact, the most severe consequences, because to have a child that you cannot support or provide for is something that I think is more detrimental than to have a child in this world because you're worried about someone saying you're not prepared to deal with the consequences.
Wow. That's powerful. And also, too, studies show, we talked about this at our meeting on Saturday, right? Studies show that black men are actually, when it comes to fathers, the most engaged out of any race. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are most like have dinner with their child, bathe their child, be involved in their child's life by the percentage of 75%. And so that's also that black men don't want to be fathers, entity fathers. That's been shot down with data a very long time ago.
There was just a daddy off on Twitter.
Yeah,
people, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah. But he did say, I wish Trouble would speak more. He's very insightful. Okay. So shout out to, you got some, some love. Farouk. Sheila Goldmaker responded.
Oh, yeah. Large up Sheila.
If you missed our black male segment last week, you probably should go back to it because it's pretty hilarious. Because Sheila Goldmaker, a 90-year-old Jewish feminist lesbian, was asked by Farouk to get into the kitchen and make him some latkes. Right?
That's not what I meant. And it was just such a bad...
Take your feminist...
It was such a bad choice of words on my part.
So this is what she said. She said, love hearing your feedback on my fan letter on this week's show. No offense taken at any remarks. And guess what? At 90, I hardly do any cooking for myself anymore, let alone anyone else. So no lockers, guys. So she doesn't do.
But you know what? Large F. Sheila, though.
Yes, yes.
Large F. Sheila.
And she also talked about like she wanted to support with t-shirts and mugs and whatever else. We're going to send you some, Sheila, because we really appreciate that.
Yeah,
but if you were somebody looking for One Hood merchandise, if you go to onehood.org, that's the number one, not the word, onehood.org, and go under new merchandise, you'll see all of our merchandise, and you can buy some t-shirts and hoodies and all that we've been selling. If somebody in Idaho just bought a hoodie, which is pretty dope. And our last blackmail, you had a question about, Sheila? You had a comment? You're gonna
To
say
the
something
Idaho,
first?
you know.
Oh,
Why did my brain go there too?
Come on.
I just want you to know that
this is a supporter of our show. So our last blackmail is from Daniel Walter. My name is Daniel. I'm a 38-year-old man of color from New England, Massachusetts, currently in New Hampshire. Damn, brother. Trying to navigate this crazy world we live in. I'm not into politics, especially mainstream media, but your show has given me a different perspective and a real view into the madness of this world. Intuition is a great guide and listener. That being said, this is my favorite show.
Thank you.
And will continue to introduce your show and organization of people of color in my area. So we about to pop in New Hampshire. You know what I'm saying? What's popping New Hampshire? Like, bring us up there. You know
That's
what I'm
like
saying?
clam chowder.
Yeah, something like the what do they call it? New England. New England
clam
area.
chowder,
Yeah. Bring us up to New Hampshire. I was
I'm
just
allergic.
I love clam chowder. It's fire.
and I was just at University of Vermont. So, you know, we've been going to be in New England, you know, doing our thing. So,
And I watched the Patriots play on football one time.
so our black, did anybody want to introduce our, I guess I have the book. This is our black man, you done messed me up now. It's our white pages for today. Our white pages is Say Their Names, and this is Shari Sims, illustrated by Lindsay Canesso, and this is Say Her Names. This is a beautiful, beautiful book for children about, you know, who these, particularly, I guess, these individuals who have lost their lives to police violence and other, why we need to have a world of peace and love. We can breathe. We do breathe. We are spirit. We are air. We are power. Before we begin, let's say these affirmations. I am bold. I am beautiful. I am brilliant. I lead nations. So if you have somebody that has children and want to introduce them to some consciousness, Say Their Names by Shari Sims is our white pages for today. Now, we told y'all, you know, we about to go in these streets and encourage our folks to vote because this is our primary day in Pennsylvania. Anything else going on that we have coming up, Miracle? Oh, do we want to talk about? We have a lot of stuff coming up. Just, you know, look at One Hood and follow Miracle's social media
No,
because
don't
she
follow
got
my
all
social
the
media.
She got all the
Follow
tea.
One Hood social media. By the time this airs, the elections will be over, and we will be announcing our new project called Project Heard. It is a project that is asking young people from 18 to 25, why do they not feel motivated to participate in electoral politics? Why are they not voting? Why are they not registered to vote? So if you know any young people who are in Appalachia, but primarily within the borders of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia is fine. We're going to ask them, why do you not see yourself in what policies and issues are important to you? And so just have them sign up as a whole application. We're going to have some online and in-person events. So again, just like reach out to us, and that's what I have for the people. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. You have anything coming up, Trouble?
Nah, I'm looking forward to rest. I need it.
Need
Facts.
some rest? Some rest? Saeed?
Oh yeah, I got a whole lot coming up.
Well, I mean, you do. But also, we will be in these streets on Saturday, Trouble.
Insider.
Saturday, we will be at the August Wilson House celebration. One of my favorite events of the year, celebrating the house that August Wilson grew up in. That is an historical landmark in the Hill District. So we'll be in the Hill District in our community celebrating August Wilson with a bunch of other organizations. It'll be performers, it'll be food, it'll be family. So if you're not doing anything this weekend, it's free, right? It's a free event. Pull up to celebrate, you know, August Wilson's legacy with us. We'll be there April 27th. Come holler at us. Yes.
And personally, I'll be supporting an event called Honest Work on Saturday. It's an elevated and inclusive exhibition of BIPOC artists, and it's also free to the public. It's happening downtown from 5 to 9 p.m.
Very
at
cool.
1001 Liberty Ave.
Very cool. Very good. Didn't you say something was going on? Some weird art thing that you wanted people to go to, Miracle?
The Kelly Strayhorn Theater is having an event on Friday. I gotta pull it up. I will be in the wind, so I won't be able to attend.
Oh, yes. You'll be in the wind. Yes.
Let me
Your
pull.
annual In the Wind after election.
Yes, look, I gotta go. First of all, because y'all have been stressing me out. Y'all have been making me cry this election season, and I don't really.
It's been a lot. It's been a heavy season of America. Period. You know what I'm saying? Well, we'll put it on our social media. Kelly Strayhorn's doing some dope art this week, like they always do it this weekend. Support them. One of the organizations we love working with. With that being said, this has been.
It's Delirious Dancing.
We're out.
This Week in White Supremacy.
Delirious Dancing, Friday at 7:30.
/ The Miracle Jones Show. All right, peace, y'all.